Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin. This is my co-host Eddie, and today I'm just going to be addressing a question that I see every so often on my videos, and that is, why haven't I ever done a review or made a video about an Apple product? Now, this is for a few reasons, so I'll jump into them straight away. Now, these aren't in a particular order, by the way. Now, the first one is Apple's business strategies. Now, you might wonder, well, what does that have to do with, making a video about a product or doing a review? And that's because of the price. Now, if you've watched any of my reviews, I always talk about the price of the product. Not all reviewers do that, by the way, but I insist on doing it. Because I always like to try to tell you guys, the fans, the consumers, is it justified? Is that cost for the product justified? Is it really worth it? Now, with Apple products, this becomes quite difficult because they run such large profit margins, which means, say, with their phone or something, you have the cost, which is how much it actually costs you to make the products. Let's say $300, that's your cost. And then you'll have your profit margins after that. Now, that's a very basic way, and I know there's other things, R&D and marketing costs and other things all come into it. So that's the very basic thing. But it's pretty much how much the product costs you to make, and then how much profit margin you're going to have, which is basically how much money you pocket with every one of its sales. Now the margins within the tech world are, depending on the product, can be either razor thin or they can be quite large. But on Apple products in general, they're usually very, very large. And it's pretty much just paying for the brand and paying for the ecosystem. Now, paying for the brand isn't anything new, and a lot of companies do it, especially in like the fashion industry and with automotive and stuff like that. Look at the cost of many European cars like BMWs and Mercedes and Audi. You're paying a lot of money for the brand as well as a very good car, but you see what I'm saying. So that's the thing I have an issue with, is that I find that their margins are getting more and more exorbitant as it goes along, and I'm not really a fan of that. Many of their products are obscenely expensive for what you actually get, and if you looked for alternatives, you could very much find one at a much fairer price. So that's something. The other thing I really dislike them doing is saying things with their ideas when they just clearly weren't. And this sort of leads into something else I was going to say later on, which was, Logan and Tech Syndicate did a great video on, has Apple ever actually invented anything? And they haven't really, with many things they claim to have and actually invented. They take a lot of good ideas and kind of mix them together and then claim they came up with an invention, but it really isn't the case. And sometimes the actual, what they're claiming as an invention, already existed. So I really don't like that they do that either. And it created this very false persona that they're sort of like industry leading. Now, that's not to say they don't come up with some very, very good ideas. They certainly do. And some of their sort of like mixing together, as Logan said, the recipe, they'll take a bit of this, take a bit of that, and then they'll come out with this great product or great idea. Some of them are really, really good, and it has moved the industry forward. A lot of things Apple has done first have become sort of industry standard afterwards, but that's not to say that they're their own inventions, and that's what I really don't like when they keep going on about, hey, we invented this, or hey, we invented that. It does rub pretty thin after a while. Now, another reason why I haven't done any Apple reviews is because I find there to be quite a bit of a disconnect between Apple users and the rest of users, and not even when it comes to a phone, for example, iOS users and Android users. Just in general, the Apple, as it starts raining, the Apple ecosystem is so closed off and to itself that I think that's kind of made their fan base the same, as very closed off and very, to itself. And I don't like that also. It's kind of like why you see certain people are tech reviewers, but they only ever review Apple products and nothing else, and why also it seems difficult for tech reviewers like myself to actually make an Apple review, or else, no one will be interested. You see what I mean? There's sort of like two separate groups of people. So that's another issue I have. Now, as far as the whole sort of like PC master race kind of carry on thing on, it's quite funny when people will talk to me about that. They think I'd be all for it, and to a certain degree I am. I do agree with a lot of things they say in terms of, buying a PC over a console or over whatever is an Apple product, an Apple computer, for example, is much better value for money, and you can do so many more things with it. And I do very much agree with that. Obviously, you can. But I just want to point out that there's a lot of people out there that just want very simple things as far as consoles go. They don't want to worry about the settings and graphics and setting it up and all the rest of it. They just simply want to take the game, put it in, and play, and off you go. And for a low price as well. Can you get a better computer for that? Build a better PC? Of course, we can. We've done it. But at the end of the day, there's some people that just don't even want to bother with that, and that's what some of you guys just have to understand. So yeah, I am all for it, but to a certain degree, I like to take a step back and have a look at it from the other perspective. Now how it comes, how that combines with Apple is that a lot of people who buy Apple computers don't really seem to understand this, that they're getting very much ripped off in terms of the specs of their Apple computers are usually rubbish, and they pay twice as much for a normal Windows PC with the same specs. So that's where I see that as being pretty bad, and it's really not fair on the consumers at the end of the day. So that's basically my main issues with it, is that I don't like their business strategies. Their profit margins are ridiculous just to keep everything within their ecosystem, and they know they have that part of the market to themselves, so they're just charging everyone exorbitant amounts, and I really find that unfair. And I don't like that they tout a lot of their new concepts or ideas as inventions when they've just taken it from something else. So they've just combined two existing technologies together and only maybe made subtle changes and call it an invention. I don't really like a lot of those things. But as always, I want to know your guys' input, and do you actually want me to start doing any Apple product reviews? Because I have thought about maybe doing the MacBook reviews or something like that, but I just want to know from you guys. And if you just think I'm some straight out Mac hater and that, look what phone I'm using. So I'm not just hating on Apple, I'm not just hating on them for no reason. These are just legitimate issues I have with the company. That's not to say that everything they do is bad and they haven't made some great products, because they certainly have. It's just that I don't really like them for these reasons, and I hope you guys can understand that. And I hope in the comment section below you tell me if you agree with me or you disagree with me, or what issues you have with Apple, or what things you really like that they do. I'd really like to know, guys. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.